Lights out.
Life's an everyday adventure. That's my philosophy. It was a dark and stormy day, so I stayed in bed for a while and listened to the rain. My dog and I really like to do that. Suddenly, there was a smell, a delicious smell, coming from downstairs. My favorite four-legged friend and I looked at each other, then popped up and flew down to the kitchen. My parents had decided to make a big breakfast. My father was making the best popovers in the world. Well, he tells me that they are the best in the world. My mother was right next to him making her famous vegetable omelet. I was so excited I sat right down, ready for the feast to begin.
"Good morning, Miss Molly,"
my father said joyfully. "Good morning indeed," I replied.
"The rain woke us up early today, so we decided to make a big breakfast,"
my mother said as she placed some of the yummy, colorful omelet-style eggs on my plate. Next, my father sat down with his puffy popovers. They looked so good we all cheered. Then, suddenly the popovers began to sink and sink until they were flat. We all looked at each other, laughed, and ate the almost flat popovers. We tried to make the most of our day inside. We read books, the newspaper, comics, magazines, you name it, we read it. In the early afternoon, it rained even harder, but that didn't stop us from playing hide and seek. I was really good at finding my parents, but they often had a hard time finding me. The funniest time was when I was right in front of them on the couch under a blanket. My giggling finally gave me away. Later, my father had to run some errands, so my mother and I baked our favorite chocolate cake. The thunder and lightning was becoming louder and brighter. Luckily, we were having so much fun measuring, mixing, and pouring that it wasn't so scary. We were cleaning everything up when suddenly the whole house seemed to light up from the lightning. Wow! Then we heard 3 loud noises. The oven timer from the cake rang, the wind slammed the front door as my father entered, and finally a very loud clap of thunder rang through the house. Double wow! Usually I get little chills when thunder is that loud, but instead my toes tingled like crazy in my moccasins. Suddenly everything was very quiet. The rain stopped, there was no more thunder or lightning, and we realized the lights had gone out.
"The electricity is out, dear. Let's get some candles,"
my mother said to my father. They raced around the house gathering whatever candles and flashlights they could, while I put the icing on the cake. Things were about to get interesting. My mother, who is always filled with good ideas, told us she had a plan. My father and I decided to play cards with a flashlight while my mother set up her surprise.
"Dinner's ready,"
my mother said from far away. Dinner? I had forgotten all about dinner time. We took the flashlight and tried to follow the direction of my mother's voice. Finally, we found her. She had set up dinner outside. She had laid out a huge waterproof blanket she found in the garage and put tons of food and candles on it.
"The air is so fresh after the rain, I couldn't resist. Let's eat,"
she said proudly. We stayed outside for a long time, eating, chatting, and laughing. We were now officially full. So full we felt we needed to lie down to let the food settle.
"Wait, I have another surprise,"
my mother exclaimed as she ran into the house. She returned with 3 pillows, moved the food to the side, then asked us each to take a pillow and lie back.
"Tonight's entertainment? The stars."
It was really dark because the electricity was out in the whole town. It seemed there were more stars in the sky than ever. It was amazing. The longer we looked, the more stars we saw. My father knew a little about stars and pointed out some of the star shapes in the dark night sky, which he told me were called constellations. Then the most incredible thing happened. We saw a star dash across the sky. It was a shooting star. I had never seen one before. We were glued to the night sky. Then we remembered the cake. My mother ran in to get it and returned with a cake full of candles. It wasn't anyone's birthday. It was just a fun way to see our fabulous cake. We each found a little more room in our full bellies for a piece. Delicious. Later, we brought everything back inside and cleaned up. We were now quite tired, and it was so dark that we all decided to go to bed. We brushed our teeth by candlelight and giggled. We had never done that before. It was a wonderful evening, my mother said as they tucked me in. Let's do it again sometime. I cheered with as much energy as I could muster. Absolutely, they responded as they kissed me on the forehead and blew out the candle. I know we need electricity, but sometimes life is just as much fun when the lights go out. Molly Moccasins, everyday adventurer.